Today we're going to be taking a look at our updated tier list for patch 15.2 or 25.S1.2 and just checking out how the meta looks so far. The latest champion Mel was added to the game this patch, and it's safe to say she hit the ground running and already got some nerfs in a hotfix patch a few days after her release. We also saw a bunch of champion buffs and nerfs and some changes to objectives and feats of strength when the initial patch went live, so let's get into it. Starting off with the top lane as always here, and in the S tier we have Camille, Cho'Gath, Darius, Aurelia, Kayle, Mordekaiser, Poppy, Riven, Urgot and Warwick. Low elo machines in Cho'Gath and Mord have some seriously impressive win rates right now, and the high elo favourites in Camille, Aurelia and Riven are also having brilliant results. The A tier is packed full of plenty of other great choices too, with popular picks like Aatrox, Garen and Fiora, as well as more situational picks like Gwen, Kennen and Pantheon. Tanky Jace has been played a lot at higher ranks recently too, but for most ranks he's in the B tier and with nerfs on the way next week. If you want to know all the changes for next week's patch, we'll be posting a full patch preview in the next few days. So check back here for that, or hit that subscribe button if you enjoy listening to me ramble on in these videos. So Kayle was one of the really surprising winners coming into this new season, one that we didn't really expect to pop off, but when you look at her stats so far, she's winning a ton of games. The minion changes that came in just made it so much harder to zone and prevent enemies from soaking up experience, which means Kayle can scale up more reliably and hit that level 16 mark more consistently, especially when you also factor in the experience boost from the Bloody Roses. Level 16 Kayle is a complete monster and has always been, but now she's getting there more often and more reliably. She really is a scary pick to play against. If you want to stay up to date with Kayle's best builds and runes this season or any other champion, then click the link in the description and check them out over on our website. Riven has been and will always be an amazing pick in the right hands, and so far this season she's remained one of the best fighters to main in the top lane, especially at higher ranks. Now she does take some practice with her animation cancelling combos and mechanics, but the more important thing you've got to learn is how to play her in all those difficult matchups, as well as learning those damage limits as well, so you can always all in when you want to or outplay multiple enemies against the odds. It's only fitting that Darius is also in the S tier this year with the Noxus season in full swing, and he really is having a blast at the moment. Darius is the ultimate lane stomping, snowballing top lane bully, and when he gets ahead early, which does happen fairly often, the top lane just becomes untouchable. Because if you do go anywhere near him once he's got a lead, he's going to take multiple enemies down by himself. Don't get me wrong, there are some comps that are very difficult for him to play into, but for the most part he's a solid pick to main. Into the jungle next then, and in the S tier we have Amumu, Bel'Veth, Diana, Hecarim, Jarvan, Nocturne, Nunu, Viego, Warwick, Wukong and Xin Zhao. Low elo powerhouses like Amumu and Nocturne are super strong picks right now, and both have great stats so far this patch, and have done for this season overall. A tier picks and Lee Sin and Kindred are also up there in the S tier at higher ranks, but just much less consistent at low elo. Fast clearing junglers are really in the lead right now, as their ability to maintain tempo around the map while securing objectives quickly is the name of the game. So ganking junglers like Elise and Nidalee are struggling compared to these more consistent picks. That's not to say you can't play these kind of picks, because if you get ahead you can snowball really hard and end the game early, but they just aren't as reliable. And if you do love Elise and you aren't having too much success with her in the jungle, maybe give her a try as a support. Wukong is one of the strongest champions in the game though, and he really is cementing his spot at the top as the king of the jungle. He clears quickly, he has solid early ganks, has a good amount of damage for early fights, his itemization is strong, his ultimate is just a bit OP, and with team fighting being such a big deal, he is so disruptive and so hard to play against. We definitely do expect some Wukong nerfs at some point soon, but for the foreseeable future until then, keep abusing him whilst you still can, because free LP always feels great. Jarvan is another fantastic team fighting jungler to play this season, and although he may not clear as quickly as some other picks in the S tier, he's just a really consistent one to go for. He's got some of the best and easiest ganks in the game, he's an amazing skirmisher and team fighter, and his CC and initiation is always a great addition to any team comp. You just can't really go wrong with Jarvan, so give him a go. Gwen is one jungler to watch out for too though. She's much more niche and you won't definitely see her as often, but she absolutely destroys camps and objectives and can get really far ahead with a ton of farm and experience, as long as you don't miss out on too much action early on. So if you come up against a few too many tanks on the enemy team, lock in Gwen, farm, scale, melt through objectives and 1v9 later on. Into the mid lane next then, and in the S tier here we have Akshan, Anivia, Cassiopeia, Galio, Wei, Aurelia, Lux, Syndra and Victor. Control mages like Hui, Syndra and Victor are definitely at their best so far this season, with lane control, wave clear and scaling just being such desirable traits to have. And these are the most consistent ones, which are outperforming many others across every single rank. Cassiopeia and Aurelia remain in the S tier despite their nerfs this patch, and Akshan moves up after showing everyone he's not to be forgotten about either. So as we mentioned at the start of the video, the newest champion Mel joined the Rift this patch, and wow, what a start she had. She's incredibly easy to play, has crazy range, tons of damage and one of the most unique abilities in the game, with her W reflecting all incoming projectiles back at her enemies. When she first hit live servers, she was utterly broken and people were literally first timing her left, right and centre and demolishing entire teams. After the hotfix nerfs though, her win rate has been steadily declining and now she's just below 51% at the time of making this video. Riot have already said they aren't going to be balancing her next patch, so let's see how she fares over the next few weeks, and we've got her in the A tier for now. Akshan has swung his way into the S tier again this patch, and although he was a bit underplayed for a while, he's definitely not underplayed anymore. He's a super aggressive snowballing mid lane pick that is absolutely not the same as those consistent control mages, but has a different way to impact games and carry, by roaming and destroying the whole map with high burst, swinging resets, and of course his ability to revive his whole team. Atakan and Akshan not only sound the same, but they also do that revival passive too, and if you get both at the same time, when are you ever going to get taken out? Orianna is another control mage that's having strong results so far this season and only just misses out on the S tier for overall ranks, but does make the S tier in high elo. Ori is a pretty safe mage to play really, she clears waves and scales somewhat effortlessly, and with not too many assassins around the rift, she's just in a perfect spot to focus on gradually powering up and then carrying every single team fight with huge shockwaves. Well, let's move down to the bot lane then and have a look at those AD carries, and in the S tier here we have Caitlyn, Corki, Jinx, Kog'Maw, Misfortune and Twitch. The buffs to Lord Dominic's Regards, Mortal Reminder and Wild Arrows have seen some rises in win rates, and with more AD carry changes coming next week with the attack speed threshold increasing, the AD carry meta is about to explode. For now though, the S tier here has the best and most consistent picks overall, the A tier is a bit more situational, and the B tier has pretty much everything else, not having quite as much fun. Misfortune is easily currently the most dominant AD carry in the game though at the majority of ranks, only surpassed by Corki in high elo in terms of popularity and success. Now it's not really too hard to understand why Misfortune is popping off either. This season there's about 50 objectives to fight over, and with her being such a fantastic teamfighting AD carry, she can pump out some insane AoE damage and easily impact them heavily each and every time. She's also strong in lane, so you can fight for those early feats of strengths with those first 3 kills and early dragons, and in general, yeah, it's pretty easy to have a lot of impact without too much effort. Twitch is definitely more situational than some other S tier AD carries, but his stats have really shot up recently along with popularity too. The support meta heavily leans towards enchanters, with Lulu being one of the best picks in the game, and this duo can carry insanely hard if they get through the lane phase smoothly. The buffs to Wild Arrows and Lord Doms also gave Twitch some extra boosts, as well as this build path is currently his highest win rate item build statistically, even though it is a little bit less popular than his other options. Jinx is another AD carry who benefited from those item buffs we just mentioned, and she was already winning a decent amount of games anyway, and she's probably going to win even more next patch with her attack speed cap going through the roof. Similar to the Rat, she also thrives with those enchanter supports like Lulu who can buff and boost her up to carry even harder, and she also works well with those 2v2 engaging supports like Rell as well. So as long as you don't get too far behind, you can pump out some pretty crazy damage and reset your way through entire teams in the late game. Finally, let's have a look at supports then, and in the S tier we have Janna, Karma, Lulu, Maokai, Nami, Rell, Senna and Zyra. Yes, Zyra is winning a ton of games this patch, especially towards lower ranks, but does tend to fall off the higher rank you go. The strongest enchanters in Janna, Lulu and Nami are still the best support options so far this season, and other strong, reliable, engaging picks like Maokai and Rell are great options too, especially if your team lacks engage. Hook supports like Naught, Blitz and Pyke aren't really having the best season so far, with so many more consistent picks just outperforming these in general. Speaking of Maokai though, he's a great pick to main in this season so far. He's just got such a reliable and easy way to engage, and his crowd control will always be useful no matter how the game plays out. Team fighting is a massive deal this season, and with so many objectives to fight for, it can feel like every few minutes is another 5v5, and this is where Maokai excels with his engage, his peel and his fantastic crowd control in general. Lulu is easily up there though with some of the best champions in the game you can play so far this season. She's one of the best enchanters and supports in the game, if not the best, and she is just the perfect addition into literally any team comp, any draft and any matchup. All the playable AD carries absolutely love having a Lulu in their pocket. All those picks like Kog'Maw, Jinx and Twitch and even Vayne all get so much stronger with a Lulu by their side. And even without all the buffs and boosts and protection and peel, she still has her Polymorph too, which has always been one of the most broken abilities in the entire game. Lulu isn't just a sit back and shield though kind of champion, she can actually bully lanes and really dominate the lane phase in general. Which means for a scaling enchanter that's often paired up with scaling hyper carries, she often comes out of the lane phase ahead anyway. If you don't want to play any enchanters though and you just love initiating, then you can't go wrong with Rell. Rell really is the best of the bunch here, and her crowd control and engage is just so reliable and so useful in so many different situations. She's super strong in early 2v2s in the lane phase, she's got great team fighting in early dragon fights, and her CC and engage will always be useful no matter what's going on in any game. Even if you're behind, even if the team is really struggling to make something happen, if you can find the angle to set up a 5-man engage, there's always a chance you can win anyway. Well, that brings us to the end of our tier list update video for this patch. We hope you guys are enjoying the grind so far, and let us know in the comments what your rank is so far and what your goal is by the end of this act. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.